You are listening to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast with Amanda Karlstad, episode number 229. Welcome to the Million Dollar Coach Business Podcast, a show for coaches who are ready to up-level their business and take their impact, leadership, and results to $1 million level and beyond. If you're ready to break through your limitations and start taking powerful action and become the seven-figure version of you that your business needs in order to grow, scale, and thrive, this show is for you. I'm your host, Amanda Karlstad, master coach, high-level business mentor and advisor, master intuitive, and business growth and scaling expert. Let's get down to business. Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to today's show. I have a very special show for all of you today. I am bringing you another client success story, another example of what is possible from my client, Alecia Baker, who you're about to meet and learn all about her story. And what I love about this conversation is really hearing about Alecia's journey, both the inner and the outer journey that she was so willing to take inside of my Mastermind program that literally took her from being a burnt out one-on-one coach to now having launched and filling her dream group program where she's now able to help even more people with her work. And I will tell you, when Alecia came to me, she did not believe this was possible. And I remember conversations very early on that we had around this program that she really wanted to launch, and this transition in moving from being a one-on-one coach into a coach with a group program, and all of the shifts that needed to be made, the shifts that needed to be made as a business owner, as a coach, as a CEO, in her identity. This has been such a profound journey. And as we talk about this, you'll hear from Alecia, but when she first, again, came to work with me and my team, she was on the brink of burnout in her business. She had a full client roster. She was very much in the business, so much so that she wasn't able to work on the business. And I just want to say here that for so many of you who might be in this position, just like Alecia was, where you have a full client roster of one-on-one clients, and while undoubtedly you love your clients and the work that you're doing, at the same time, you know that you have the opportunity to help so many more clients with your work if you were to offer a more leveraged program. I just want to say that this is very normal. And it's also why it's so important that if you're feeling called to step into your next level, that you do get expert support so that you can truly make the shifts both in your business successfully, and that you have the support as you transition through that process. And this is something that we help our clients with every day inside of my Mastermind programs. And you're about to hear through Alecia's journey of that process and how supportive it has been to her to be in that space, in that community, in that safety, while being able to make these very big shifts in her business. And so again, I'm just so proud of the work that Alecia has done, and being able to literally bring what she didn't believe was possible for her to now having birthed that through this process. And I just think that this is such a great example for all of you of what truly is possible, and possible when you do the work, when you focus on getting the foundation built in your business, when you're willing to look at and to be open to releasing the beliefs, the identities that no longer serve you, and at the same time, putting those real tangible business strategies in place. And so I want to encourage you to lean into this conversation. There is so much wisdom here for you. And I would also invite you that if you know that you are being called into your next level, now is your time. 2024, you have such an opportunity. It can be your breakthrough year. And I would love for you to be one of our next client success stories. All right, let's get to it. Okay, everybody, I have such a special guest for you today. I'm so excited to bring you this conversation with my client, Alecia Baker. Alecia is such a beautiful soul. She is such a wonderful coach, such a powerful coach. And we're going to talk about the work that she does here in a second. And it has really been a beautiful journey to support Alecia over really the past year in taking her business from a very panicked one-on-one situation that we're going to talk about to now having launched a beautiful brand new group program, essentially whole new brand to really reflect such an elevated level of her work and just the level of service that she's now giving to her clients. And I'm so excited for you to hear about her journey, to hear about her work, to hear about how she has really worked through so much, both from a business standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint as well, and really stepping into becoming a CEO in her business, a business owner that makes clean decisions, a business owner that trusts herself, a business owner that is empowered to do the things that she needs to do to lead her business forward. And I'm just so proud of all of the progress that she has made and where her business is today. And with that, let's welcome Alecia. Alecia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amanda. Oh my goodness, what an introduction. It's a reflection of a lot of years. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. So before we get into your journey, which is so fascinating and so I think going to be so valuable for so many people listening, tell us about the work that you do. I would love for you to explain it because it's very different.
Mm.
I think it's very unique in many ways.
Yeah. And this is many conversations we've had, many coaching
Yep.
conversations, right?
Yep.
It is different because my niche is both large and unique at the same time. So I'm the founder of the Human Maintenance Program, and
Love it.
I integrate coaching, mentoring, and educating and supporting people. Now, this is not for people who want to be professionals or who
Mhm.
want to be coaches or practitioners. This is
Okay.
for humans walking around who
Everybody,
everybody,
all
all
of
the
us,
people.
all
Yes.
of us. Yes.
And really support people to have through all of these things have a better understanding of how their mind and their body communicate and how that shows up in their thoughts, how that shows up in sensations in the body, how that shows up from things that we've been through, both
Mhm.
personally in this world we're living in right now, or
Mhm.
even intergenerationally. So it's a combination of this internal work, the science of how your body works, and also principle based of how to practically apply this in day to day
So
to
good.
grow. Right. So
Yeah.
anybody can do anything with that,
Yeah.
bringing this consciousness to being an imperfect human in this world. Right.
Love it. It's so good. And Alecia and I we were talking before I hit record here. And one of the things that we were talking about is like, I almost feel like it's hard to put into words what it
Yeah.
is that you do because there's so much to it. And
Yeah.
I know that I have seen videos, I've seen pieces of your work and, obviously your website and just the conversations that we've had. So I feel like I have a good sense of that. But even for me, I know for me that took a little bit of time to really kind of
Mm.
wrap my mind around what this all was. And I think for our listeners too, it might be good to speak to the fact I know one of the leading kind of theories that drives your work is the polyvagal theory.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
don't know if you want to speak to that just for a minute, just to kind of give a little bit of
Yeah.
context around that.
100%. Well, maybe I could speak to how I developed my method, which includes three things mainly,
Hmm.
which is the polyvagal theory,
Hmm.
right? A real true understanding of how the nervous system works with the communication internally and
Yeah.
externally, seeking for safety,
Yeah.
and how do you actually support that natural functioning. I've heard in my circles in the polyvagal world, like the nervous
Yeah.
system is the great unifier. Every
Yeah.
single one of us has one, and they all work the same. And so with the co-regulation, with neuroception, and with how the
Yeah.
hierarchy of the nervous system with that is really incorporated into the science aspect when I'm working with clients. The second thing is actually Brima, and
Hmm.
Brima is something that many people haven't heard of.
Yeah.
We say it's the art of being present.
Yeah.
And Brima is a bodywork that is connected to universal principles,
Mm-hmm.
principles that we see out in nature, in the natural world, that as imperfect humans, we are sometimes moving farther away from. So, for
Yeah.
example, a principle like no force
Yeah.
or no extra or no judgment, and
Mm,
all these things that we experience that we identify with, we put so
right.
much identification with our personalities on. When incorporating Brima and self Brima, actually, that working with myself
Yes.
in sequences to support myself through movement, I actually can apply these principles and have another way to open up a connection to my true nature. So
Okay.
that aspect there. And then the third
Mm-hmm.
is the conscious competency model,
Mm-hmm.
which is how we all learn, and going from I
Yeah.
don't know what I don't know to being an expert at something and not having to think about it. So that stages of learning are really affected by what is going on in our nervous system and then how we're actually moving through the world with our own identity.
Yeah. Okay. So there's so much there.
There's a lot
And
there.
thank you for giving us more context around this.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to say right off the bat here is, as a client, as your coach, Alecia, one of the things that I've appreciated from you throughout our journey is how emotionally aware you are, and the level of awareness that you bring to our coaching, whether that's in a one-on-one, whether that's in a group setting. And I just want to say, I think obviously a lot of that is informed with, I'm sure, the work that you've done,
Mhm.
but I just want to say, from a like client perspective, from like a coach perspective, that has been, I think, so valuable in this
Oh,
process as well,
yes.
for you to have just such a, and be open on
Mhm.
such a deep level to all of the emotions that we're going to talk about what that process was, but essentially rebuilding your business, kind of tearing down actually a really successful business,
Yes.
and birthing a new program, stepping into a group program. So moving from one-on-one into group,
Mhm.
to building essentially and up-leveling your brand along the
Mhm.
way, and all of the things that came along with that, building out a team. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much there. So
Oh my.
thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about your journey. Let's kind of fill in the blanks here. So where was your business
Mhm.
when we started our work together?
Yeah, as you know, I like to call it, I was panic building.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it looked very successful. So I was close to heading towards six figures,
Yep.
close to six
Hmm.
figures. I had a full client list. Everything
Hmm.
was in motion and moving faster than the foundation I had built.
Mm.
So where was my business externally? It
Yeah.
was pretty successful. Internally, I was not in a good shape when I reached
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's kind of back up too. I want everybody to know that prior to launching your coaching business, you
Hmm.
also had a brick and mortar
Yeah.
business.
Yeah. Yep. So I ran a healing arts center. So it was an
Mhm.
in-person brick and
Yep.
mortar. We had all different kinds of holistic modalities, many different practitioners. It was one of my heart's life work in
Yeah.
our community here. And so when COVID came, that business needed to shutter.
Yep.
And in that month afterward, and all the things that we were all going through, I knew I had to create something different with the
Yep.
25 years of experience where I
Yeah.
could still bring what I was doing to clients, but in a
Hmm.
way that wasn't in person. So that's when
Yeah.
I went to Lumia coaching school, and then I went and got a
Okay.
trauma informed overlay with Master and Kip. And then I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can build this business. But all the time
Hmm.
I'm going to school, closing a business and
Yeah.
rebuilding a new business
Yeah.
at the same
And I
time.
think that's important for everybody to know,
Yeah.
that also was informing where your business was when you and I started working together.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So when I reached out, I was at this place where I had created something that was successful but I had
Hmm.
no foundation for it. So that meant I was building faster than I knew where I was standing. And I could
Yeah.
see that the direction I was going was actually to grow and get even bigger. But I
Yeah.
had actually no idea what I was doing. Like
Yeah.
I had
Well, and I think, if I can add too, I think that it was hard for you to even see what that looked like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, actually, yeah. You remember when we did our consultation, I didn't
Yeah.
even know if I wanted to be a coach anymore. I was like, I cried through most of that
Yeah.
consultation.
I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very grateful that we could have that conversation, right?
Hmm.
Where I was able to cry through most of it. And I was also a strong business owner
Right.
and
Right.
a professional in my field. A
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
ands there. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay. So you were working with clients one-on-one. You had a full client roster. You were on the verge of burnout. You were, I would agree, I think, in a place of panic
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and something needed to change.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I came. I actually, and we talked about this, I heard one of these conversations with one of your
Yeah.
clients last year who was a running coach.
Yeah.
And in that conversation, I heard you and him speaking about the need for having foundation in a business to grow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, that is what I need. That's what I need.
Yeah.
And so when I reached out, that was the support that
Hmm.
I knew you
Hmm.
could give. I'd already been listening to your podcast for a while,
Yeah.
and we also had already had a consult a while prior.
Yeah. We did. We did. Yeah.
I
That's
wasn't
right.
ready at that time. I was still in the fear panic building. I wasn't ready, to be honest.
Yeah.
And after that, some time had passed, I knew from what I had heard from what you were offering, right? Which
Hmm.
was like this honest space for both business growth and my human side, and how that will vitally influence my business. That combination spoke to me like, this is where I need to go. This is the
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. I think that's so important. And I want to speak to the foundation aspect for a minute,
Hmm.
because I talk about this a lot, and I think you're just such a great example. Like, your business and your journey has been a great reflection of that, of the importance of having a solid foundation, the importance of having clarity as the business owner, the importance
Yeah.
of like creating programs and containers that
Mm.
allow you as the coach to work from your zone of genius, from your
Yeah.
brilliance,
Yeah.
versus from a reactive place. And I will say, I mean, and I'm thinking of so many clients right now, but that is absolutely, I think, a point where once you start to have clients, whether typically it's one-on-one in
Hmm.
the space, there comes a point in time for, I think, most coaches where that realization, like you had, it kind of sets in like, this is no longer sustainable.
Yeah.
I need to create something different.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
to elevate myself. I need to elevate the business. I need to elevate the container that I've created.
Mm.
And it's kind of that old saying, what got you here won't get you there.
That's very true. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So talk to us about what that was like,
Mm.
going from one-on-one to building out the program that, by the way, you've launched, and we
Yes.
have clients in, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Like, walk us through that. Like,
Yeah.
what came up for you in that process?
Oh boy. Every belief system that that haunts me came up. I needed the support of that space to hold
Mhm.
reflection to beliefs that were making decisions in my business that I
Okay.
didn't even know, because I was still processing the grief of the loss of the other business.
Yeah. Mhm.
That grief, as I know this, I'm a professional in this, right? But
Yeah.
the grief was clouding, it was clouding
Yeah.
my ability to think clearly in that new business.
And it's so
So,
interesting. I remember that coaching conversation where that came through.
yeah,
Like, now
you
that you
remember?
say that, I remember that conversation where that awareness came through, that the grief is what is kind of driving the car right now,
Yes.
and being able to then release that and being able to see that
Yeah.
and then make a new decision around that was really, really powerful.
It was one of the pivotal moments in the year.
Yeah.
Was it really seeing clearly, oh, this is needs to be honored, right?
Mhm.
It needs to be honored in order for me to build the thing I really wish to build.
Yeah.
And in that moment, or I wouldn't say in that moment, like in that time period, that processing happened. It really happened. I had honor for what I had created and what was complete.
Yeah.
And then excitement was able to come in for what I was about to do and wanted to do, which was an amalgam of now almost 30 years of being in
Yeah.
practice and
Yeah.
being able to support people in a way that I'd only dreamed of, but didn't
Yeah.
know if I could do. I wasn't super confident if I could do. So
Yeah.
it went from very limited.
Yeah.
It's so much more expansive now.
And if I can add to that, I can remember our earlier coaching conversations, Alecia, where we would talk about what this next iteration you wanted it to look like, right? What it kind of needed to be in order to do the work that you want to do and help and serve in the way that you want to. And I can remember very early on you having a very hard time being able to visualize that and being able to see that and
Oh,
being able to
yeah.
hold that in your mind. And so I'm curious, like, do you think it was the grief? Like, it's probably a mixture of things, but like,
Mm.
I'm curious because obviously now here you are, you've launched it, you're enrolling clients in it. You
Yeah.
are, I mean, it's beautiful what you've created. Like, what did you have to overcome in
Mm.
order to do that? Like, what needed to happen?
That's a really wonderful question. And a couple of things show up just now. I had to uh, for continue to find the right support to match the grief. I had to
Mm-hmm.
be honest with myself along the way, even though my brain and my ego wanted it not to be true.
Yeah.
So everything that was external, I didn't want to. I had to have a lot of courage and a lot of support
Yeah.
to face that what I had built was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't mean that everything was a waste. It
Yeah.
right that meant that I could incorporate it and grow and still help. So there was a lot of like shifting of my identity. I didn't even realize actually at that time I didn't even realize how much I was identified to my business.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
so wrapped up in it. And that's if I can speak to an
Please.
unexpected benefit, right?
Totally. Yeah.
An unexpected benefit is that I actually, as a human now, am
Yeah.
much less identified to only my business. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing up in my life much more balanced. And I didn't realize how much I was leaning on my business for value and self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the grieving was so challenging.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
why my mind was so like, how do I even do this again? It
Yeah.
was all this identity.
Right.
Right. A big answer for that question. Is
No, I
that
love it. I love it. I mean, the identity is the core of everything. This is why I teach on this all of the time. And,
uh,
I will say, if I can also add to that, that is a byproduct of my
yeah.
work. That's a byproduct of, I think, the most profound work that we do
Yes.
in this process. Yes, it is the external strategies. Yes, it's the building out of the new programs. Yes, it's building, solidifying the
Mhm.
foundation in the business, but it's also about the becoming, it's the shifting, it's the
Mm,
inner
mm,
work of identity
mm.
that then allows us to drive the external.
Right. Exactly. Which is a true driving then. That's where that foundation aspect comes in,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not a panic building. So that's the tricky thing. I actually really love supporting my clients with this. Like we're talking about this in a business aspect. I love supporting people in
Yes.
whatever way. But when there is an external appearance of one thing and an internal
Mm-hmm.
experience of another, and there's that chasm in between the two,
Yeah.
nothing is sustainable. Right?
Right.
Like it's just not
Right.
sustainable. So how do I get that support to bridge no
Yeah.
matter what the external looks like? And then once I have that bridge, like going through your program this year, it's
Yeah.
like I built the bridge in so many ways. So
Yeah.
I don't have that chasm,
Yeah.
and it wasn't even like that chasm happened because we all went through
Mm-hmm.
whatever we
Right.
went through pandemic, right? So
Yeah.
it happened and then rebuilding that bridge so that I wasn't just looking successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It was actually participating the internal, external.
I love that. I think
Yeah.
that's so, so important. Okay.
Yeah.
So, where's your business today? Let's talk about this new program. Let's talk about what's happening right now.
Yeah. Okay. So last month I did like a baby launch. I guess they
Mm-hmm.
call them soft launches.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With all of my clients who are on wait list or
Uh-huh.
clients I have contact with. And I opened it up, the new program, to a limited
Mm-hmm.
space of
Yeah.
people. So I thought I was going to open up to 3 clients. I want to keep it small as I'm building, so I'm sure what I'm building is
Yes.
firm, right?
Yep.
So that's different than past me also. I
Right.
was right. So I actually have 4 clients that signed
Amazing.
up that
Yeah.
are already, 2 of them have already completed the initial phase of the program,
Yeah.
and they've gone into the secondary phase.
Yeah.
And then as of yesterday, we launched the other aspects, which we have an online course, the one-on-one coaching, and then there'll be a kind of choose your own adventure style workbook coming in the spring.
So
And
fun.
right. And
So
so our
fun.
first group one will be we're going to do at this point, our first group class will be in a few months, actually.
Yeah.
So people can come together and talk about what they're learning in the online program.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. So if I can just say like that, what's
What?
so wonderful is like literally I can remember what's flashing on me is our initial conversations where you spoke to some of these things.
Yes.
And again, like I know it's hard for us in this conversation to, for everybody to really understand it, but truly like Alecia was there were so many blocks at the time.
Yeah.
There was so much work that had to be done. And it was like, there's no way. I mean, it was like literally, I can remember early conversations where it was like, well, what about, ideating on some of this? And it was like, I can't see it. Right. So I just want to
There was no 50,000 foot view. When someone would mention that to me, I'd be like, I'm going to just regulate super hard. I need to come back to this step right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge like how profound it really is for you today to be on this podcast, to be sharing this experience, to be, having launched this program. I mean, all literally like your dream business.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and this year, yeah, I'm so excited to be here, right? I'm so grateful. Sometimes I think about, past me is building present me's life.
Yeah.
Present me
Right.
is building future me's life, right?
Totally.
So I'm so grateful for past me being willing to reach out and ask for that support and just be an honest blob.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because now, as I'm looking forward, like present me building this future, I'm looking forward to incorporating workshops and having more in-person experiences and supporting people to really connect to that authority. I can dream now, right?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Well, you already you have live events planned. You
Oh,
have
that's
live
true.
events planned. Like you have like it's already on the calendar, right? So again, there's so much here. I wish we had like 2 more hours, honestly, to like talk about this, but what would you say, what would you say to coaches? One of the things that I think comes up a lot that I think you're a great example of when you go from one-on-one to groups, or when you're in a place in your business where, yes, you've built that initial success, maybe it's, 6 figures, whatever that looks like, to then go start stepping into a model like this, where you are working more one-to-many, where you are having to create more structure in the business. You're having to create, that foundation for sure. But I think mostly it's really that structure. So what would you say to a coach who's at that point, who is working with one-on-one, who knows like, oh, this isn't sustainable for me. This is maybe even not what I want to do. This isn't a reflection of really my true work, because I do think that comes up a lot for coaches and wanting to make a bigger impact. But there's a lot of fear about letting go of, it's kind of like, Gay Hendricks talks about it. It's letting go of your zone of excellence. It's moving from your zone of excellence into your zone of genius.
Yes, yes, yes. Can I give the illustration that I share with clients then?
Yes, please.
And I do this with myself. I call this my blobby tarantula phase.
I love that. Good.
So when a tarantula is growing and they've shed their exoskeleton, now I'm not a spider expert, but this is my illustration. When they shed their exoskeleton, they're a little blobby as their new skin is hardening. And from what I understand, they need to actually find protection in some place while that new skin is hardening. Right? That is a scary time. And so in that, like when I recognize I'm in a blobby tarantula phase, I need to honor that fear, right? If I don't honor that fear, how is this new skin, this bigger thing that I want to step into, going to harden? And the fear is not the problem. It's me starting from where I'm at, wherever I'm at, and finding the support to match that. So if you're in that business, if you're in that place in your business and you feel like a blobby tarantula, right? Look for the support.
Yeah.
that matches the fear so that you can step
Mhm.
into that new, larger space, that new skin.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So
Yes.
good. Okay. So what's next for you, Alecia? What do you see? What are you excited about? Like what's next here?
So I go back and forth between I want to start where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get my new skin.
Yeah.
I want to really become strong in this. So I see over the next, between now and the next 2 quarters of this
Hmm.
year, me holding space for really standing in what I created over the last
Hmm.
year.
Yeah.
And then I really cannot wait to create more in-person workshops. I want to meet my clients and hug them in person.
Yes.
And then incorporate more, possibly even certification courses in the future, so
Yeah.
that's future
Yeah.
Alecia's.
Which is so funny because that was a vision that I had very early on for you. That was a
You
download
did.
that I had gotten very early on that I had shared with you. So to
Yes,
hear
you
you say
did.
that and know that that's a very real possibility
Yeah, yeah.
in the
Well,
not too distant future is
it's
amazing.
it's real, Amanda. Like real. I remember that conversation where you affirmed, a dream I hadn't spoken yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes as I'm
Yeah.
moving forward. But even right now, I have 2 clients who are going through their own coaching programs, and
Yeah.
I hope to have a certification that I can overlay on their
Hmm.
coaching training. They're amazing clients, and I through their eyes, I can see this
Hmm.
certification process actually coming to life in the future. But I won't panic build that. Okay.
I love that. I love that. That's so good. That is
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good.
And thank you. Really, this has been amazing. An amazing year with your
Oh,
support.
well, you've been such a joy and such an honor. It's been such an honor to support
Mhm,
you. And
mhm.
what I said before with, just the vulnerability that you brought
Yes.
to every session, the awareness, the level of awareness, the openness to the coaching. Like one of the things that has really struck me from you is just your willingness to be so open to coaching in all different forms. And so, again, before we started, I hit record today, we were talking about just the power of group coaching
Oh yeah.
and how so often, and I see this happen in my containers where somebody else might be getting coached, or I might be speaking to something, I may be
Yes.
teaching, I may be
Yeah.
training on something. And that is the thing that then breaks open. That is
Yeah.
the breakthrough.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, go
In
ahead.
the, I had so many different sessions just pop into my
Uh-huh.
brain, right? This group coaching
Mhm. Mhm.
where you were actively coaching someone else, and I was getting
Mhm.
secondary coaching.
Yeah.
So really the power of being, I guess my wish is to learn no matter what's happening, right? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
so taking that authority, like anybody listening in a group coaching setting, you're being coached whether you're actively being coached or
Yeah.
not. Like, and
Yeah.
and so what am I going to do with
Right.
that?
Right.
Right. It's so powerfully supportive to look for those opportunities to receive
Mhm.
support because they're going to come in all different kinds of forms. And in that
Yeah.
setting, I actually found many huge growth moments
Yeah.
while you were actively coaching another.
I observed that from you. And that's why I want to speak to that because I
Uh,
think you have demonstrated that so well when we talk about being coachable in the process.
mm,
I just think you are such a great example of that, of just showing up and again, the vulnerability, the awareness, the openness, and the looking for that support, finding that support, even
mm,
if you're not the one that's being actively coached. I can
mm.
remember as well, like several breakthrough moments for you where you were like, wow, that was exactly
Yes.
the breakthrough. Here's how this landed. And
Ah,
it was like an immediate shift. And so
yeah.
for everybody listening, that is the power of being in a container like this. This is the power of being actively in a
Mm,
coaching relationship and
mm,
putting yourself in an environment where
mm,
you are looking at these things, where you are being stretched, where you are being challenged. And also it's about what are you bringing to that space as
mm,
well. And I just think
mm.
you're such a great example of that. So thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you too. I'm very grateful. You provided the bumper guards so that that bowling ball didn't go in the gutter. And
Yeah.
that is what the containers do, right?
Yeah.
Provides such safety for clients for growth
Yeah.
so they can bump into that container and keep heading in the direction that they want to go
Mhm.
in.
I
Yeah,
love it.
thank
I love it. You're so welcome. Okay.
you.
So when you look back, Alecia, what are the biggest like transformations? Let's just kind of sum it up
Ah,
here. Like,
mm,
what has been like the biggest transformation that you've experienced personally? We've
Hmm.
talked a lot about what the business looks like now, but like just when you think about personally you and the identity, like what has been some of the biggest transformations that you've experienced?
I trust the process of growth more, which I haven't said it like that yet. I didn't, the transformation and growth in all areas, right? We've spoken to business, but
Yeah.
my personal life had a huge upheavals simultaneously. And
Mm.
I saw that Alecia, right, my identity stuff was the same in every place, in
Oh,
every
good.
aspect.
Yeah.
And that how I navigate receiving support is so vital in
Hmm.
growth, and that I'm never going to like that process. And
Hmm.
it's not about like and dislike. It really is in this process. I just really trust the process of growth.
I love
I can
that.
say, yeah, it's a
I love
lot
that.
behind that, but
Yeah. I'm just thinking that gave me inspiration for a podcast episode, actually, the process of growth.
please
And
do that.
trusting that process. I think that's a beautiful summary, and I know it will land for people listening.
Mm,
So, what would you say to somebody that, and again, we talked a little bit about this, but somebody who might be listening to this right now and
mm.
is like really wanting to go to that next level, that's really wanting to bring their work forward in a bigger way, what would you say to them?
Well, I mean, I just had 500 things happen, but we're speaking, right? And Amanda, the work that you're doing and the work that you're presenting is so deeply valuable for that person, whoever is listening,
Mm,
because how you're showing up honestly and blending the actual in our real world, what business needs, the structure that business needs to not be panic built and to be strong and to keep growing. You have that to support someone. And at the same time, understanding all the arc of humanity and all the beliefs and the imperfections that come along with it. The blend in your course is that's the transformation, is that there's that blend and you hold space for both and seamlessly go back and forth, right?
mm.
And so if you're looking to actually grow, I'd say go to you. Like, come on, like this program is wonderful. It's
Thank
really
you.
good. You're welcome. It really helps. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like,
Totally.
that's why I made it.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, I've said this before, and maybe I just need to be more like direct with it. But honestly, like I really look at this process, and I think about like if you're trying to grow, no matter where you're at, like if you're trying to grow business in this industry, an online coaching business, I mean, and that can look very different, and it
Mhm.
does look very different.
Yes.
You have to have these things. Like there is no way around
Mhm.
not having the things that the business needs. There is
Yes.
no way around not having a foundation. There is no way around about taking the step when you're ready at that level to step into a group setting, if that's
Mhm.
what that needs to be.
Mhm.
There is no way around not doing the identity work. There is no way around not facing the things that are in your way.
Yes. 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 There's none. So it's part of if I'm on this road, if you're on this
Yeah.
road,
Yeah.
this is what's on this road.
Yeah.
So match the support.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Is there anything else, Alecia, before we wrap up today that you'd like
Uh,
to offer to everybody?
no, I don't think so. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for the space.
Mhm.
Well, maybe that it's okay. It's okay to feel
Yeah.
things. It's okay to feel scared. Match the scared with the support, like I said, and
Yeah.
the growth is right there with it. It's okay to be human.
Yeah. So good. All
Yeah.
right. Alecia, where can everybody find you?
So on socials, I'm at the Polyvagal Coach
Okay.
and Alecia S. Baker, and that's ALECIASBAKER. Yeah.
Great. And we will, of course, link
My
all of that
website.
up in the show notes as well. But I highly encourage all of you to go check out Alecia and check out the beautiful work that she's doing. Truly, it's such an inspiration and it's such important work. And I'm just so excited for what's ahead for you and everything that you've created and just so proud of the transformation, both from a business standpoint, externally going from where you were when we started to now having this beautiful program and essentially really the dream business that you had articulated early on, at least pieces of it that were kind of brought forth through this process. It's really, I want to inspire all of you listening that level of growth, that level of transformation can happen, and it can happen quickly. I mean, within 12 months, I mean, to take your business from where it is to where it is like today is very possible. And so I just know there is so much ahead. There is so much success ahead and such an impact that you have already made and also are about to make with your work. And so thank you for being such a wonderful client. And again, just so coachable through this process and everything that you brought forward. It really has been a beautiful journey. Thanks, Alecia. Thank you for listening to this episode of the $1 Million Coach Business Podcast. If you're ready to step into the $1 million version of yourself and scale your business to 6, multi-6, or 7 figures and beyond, go to amandakarlstadcoaching.com.